and your viewers. Choose who can participate, set it between messages, hide or put people in timeout, manage messages held for review, add moderators to your channel. Close. Right. As you can see here, there are a bunch of mosquitoes on my hand. Figure I just deal with it. You know, let them fill up. Anyway. And when they're filled up, I'll use that hand to turn it around, and then you can see all the mosquitoes that are on my face filling up. There's not any on my face, I don't think. Anyway, yep. That's what we're doing. Which mosquito will fill up first? I reckon it's going to be that one over there on the back of the hand, at the back there. I think it's in a better spot for blood. I think these ones though, they're working hard, you know. The well's drying up. This guy over here on the thumb, he's not far off. Look, I already smell pretty bad, so it's fine. The other thing is though, right? It's a way of making it might eat mosquitoes. Might be some sort of a scavengy finch. Or it's just going to be a much worse problem when I come back. How to make yourself belong to the forest, you know? It was you! Oh, wait, there we go. I didn't think it was full first. I think it just gave up. I honestly think mosquitoes hate being mosquitoes, especially when they're like, it's like instinctively, they're like, we've got to fill up on as much blood as possible, right? But then it's like when a human gets real fat, and they're like, you just stop being motivated and stuff. You like can't work. I wasn't expecting it to be this much. Don't just wait for a bird to come and eat them, you know? And that isn't that a situation to wait around for? Yes. Oh, there we go. Oh, yep. Gone. Did it. All right. So okay. Let's talk about anything else. This is the old Lanospedix monostachios, huh? Which is Latin for line of spade dicks, one stack thereof. And it's funny to do it like that because in the Gregorian chant, because they were monks, you know, whether they had them on or not. Probably a line of basically as good as, you know, by the time you're a monk. Anyway, line of spade dicks, monostachios. But also, it could mean, man, that line of spade dicks, those dicks are so big, they literally dug holes with their dicks and planted a forest for them. Isn't that impressive? You know? It's like, well, not really, not if they're monospachios, because they only they don't get very big. You know, they get about 3 meters tall. And after they get 3 meters tall, they sort of bend over it, because the stem doesn't get any thicker than that. That's one there. That's a nearly fully grown one, you know? And they get all bent and dangly. they're sort of like a transitionary species for this over here. Because over there, it's hard to see, but all through this forest, there's this stuff called lawyer cane, right? I can't remember the fancy name for that one. I think it's also a like monostachios type situation. It's got a stacky kind of thing in it. But yeah, like that's a vine, and it's rough. It's nasty. It's the nastiest, spikiest thing possible. This is why they call it a lawyer cane, because it's what the lawyer gets. Whether the lawyer does or doesn't fuck up, I reckon. Sometimes. Anyway, that's just karma sort of stuff, right? Anyway, and then we've got over here, right? What I'm sitting on here is a kudgery root. Uh, they call it a Flinders Scottiana, right? Shottiana, shoddy, Scotty. Uh, the boxwood, it's like. And anyway, that's one there, and this one's nice, and you got this one over here, which has a strangler fig coming on it. Yep, look at that. Strangly dangly. That'll take it. And like in, say 50 to 100 years, I guess, it will be like strangled by a Port Jackson fig or something, like a ficus, something or other. There's one over here. There's a black bean over there, and that sort of like gnarly sort of thing going on the trunk. That's the strangler. Being a bit more mature. Facts. Doing them. Maybe I'll call this one, I don't know. Oh. Yeah. Oh, then so you got the monostachios that gets like not very big. Then you got this one over here, and that's a different type of palm. So this one, that one, and that one, they're Lonospadics monostachios, walking stick palms. And then you got this one over here, which is the Bangalow palm, also known as the gang Bangalow palm, also known as the Contro Phoenix Cunninghamiana, I believe, or Cunninghamii, one of the two. And instead of growing only like 3 meters tall maximum, it will grow as tall as everything else in the forest. It'll basically become an emergent. They've like like on its own, like given the competition, right? It'll push itself up to that tall. And there's a few around that are like left, like they've cut down the forest, and there's just like these stands of just like really, really tall Bangalow palms that like left out of the just don't worry about it, It's supposed to be a tropical paradise. It's only a subtropical paradise. Anyway, that up there, that's your Scottiana. It's like that's the dominant species in this forest. Other than that, you got this one here. That is the Argyrodendron trifoliatum. Don't ask me how I know that, because at this stage its most defining feature is not actually on it. Like they usually have 3 leaflets, and there's only 1 leaflet on any of the leaves so far, because it's only that tall. Okay? But the other tell is that it has like a. Oh, sorry. It's the other tell is. Oh, nah, sorry. It's got like kind of like, I think they call it glabrous underside, sort of like whitish, but it's like a bronze sort of color to it. And I don't know, I think that's like a bullwarra, I think they call them that. That's a thing called a Slowenia. Like this whole, that whole thing going up there is a thing called the Slowenia australis. And there's another type of Argyrodendron, and it's called the Argyrodendron actinophyllum, and it's called the. They call them both the white bouillon and the black bouillon, and I think the best explanation for why it's called the black bouillon is actually more best general explanation is because it has really, really good shade. Like it would be like basically nighttime if that was the dominant tree in this forest, you know. But and usually, if it isn't kudgeries around here, it's probably like the trifoliatum, and they're also sort of like at that kind of not quite as like dark, you know, not like getting around in a moonless night, you know. You gotta appreciate where you are sometimes. Like that there, that's the trifoliatum. This that little guy. And then like you get this the kudgery is like the good tell for it is it has this kind of sort of like flared leaf. Like they sort of like flare up. Whereas most of the other ones that have these like long leaves with the multiple leaflets, like a black bean, which also has the similar kind of grade of shade as a black bean. But a black bean will sort of like be a bit more hanging, sort of chill a bit. But when they flower, they're sort of semi-deciduous. They can be semi-deciduous. They'll lose their leaves, and in the process of doing that, the leaves will flare up like a kudgery. Like what? Like there's like all these like sort of stages of mimicry that happen throughout like the cycles of reaction to what happens. Like there's no consistency in these forests, right? There's all these like deciduous aspects that are just completely random and like there's I mean, I'm not a proper botanist or like deeply studied in all this sort of stuff. I just see it sometimes, you know, and point it out, but I'm not like fucking watching it every day, I guess. So, you know, but like, yeah. So like, there's like red cedars, like these tuna ciliatas that like were the like thing that got people to colonize this area. You know, like they came here and they got that particular piece of wood. They flattened all the forest and turned it into cows for that stuff, right? Um, I think that might be one over there, but it could also be a brown pine, which would probably be also like just nail wood, right? Like it's like the thing is, it's there's heaps good wood, but it's like too crazy. Like it's like hardcore wood. Like I said, basically nails. Too hard to work with. The cedar is like right on that line, you know. For like 150 years ago, you know, when all you got is like, you know, teams of cows to drag it around with, you know. Like, and yeah, it's really sad because there's not a lot of this. Like it's about probably maybe like 100 meters in that direction, maybe like 50 meters behind me, maybe 70 meters to my left and 50 to my right at best. And there are other little remnants and that's way smaller. There's the biggest remnant is like down the road. It's called Victoria Park, um, on the plateau. That's the biggest remnant, I think. There are other things that people would call remnants, but they're not. They're like sort of very, very, very weedy regrowth. And you could argue the same here. You know, like that sucks. Depending on who's giving a shit is the problem. You know, I give a shit. You know, but like that's the thing. I don't give enough of a shit. Maybe that's the problem. Not enough shit to give. Just tiny little packets of blood. gives just other little packets of blood. Ugh. I could have done some research and remembered some more names of things like the lawyer cane vine. Um, you got these lamandras here. These are like these. There's different lamandras. There's like not quite. There's like two main species. There's like hystrix, and I don't think about it very much these days. I just like the name Lomandra. Like these like a specific different species that like grow in the rainforest. They grow in like quite low light, and they look pretty good. Like often they like if it were like just a normal one, and you tried to grow it in under here, they like need more light. And if you do, they'll grow, but they'll just be like several little spindly things, and the same thing happens when they get the leaf litter stuck in them. They just sort of like, nah, don't worry about it. They sort of just fall on the ground and. Um, this here is a vine called wait a while. I think they call this wait a while, and it's like the sort of similar to the lawyer cane over there. That's a lawyer cane, but it doesn't have like it's not like the thing about a lawyer cane, right? Here, and then I'll end the stream. Ay, ow, oh. So, okay, so this is it. There's spikes along the margins of every leaf. There are spikes, like nasty little spines, all up the trunk. And then the flower spikes, exactly that. Spikes, you know? Alright. Have a good one.